Ghana adeshema maya mamunyina ajo peace 104.3. Okay, 101.7 neat 100.9. Ship House Abeka Junction Accra. Hello 101.5 FM Kumasi Edum. Omama ya mamunyina ajo. Enyumre omeni amahudo sensama ya boabo ano ne de bremu na ensem no tofa bomu nyina bekwa akogina. Osafo eskasam so ken ofori ata ene. Omaya kwa humasika ho nsem a wode ekoto dwa no. Eho ena nsem no dodo no a ebekọ akwa akogina. Na nsem a de bremu awie de edi animu ene se. Onimanyafo ken ofori ata de atodwa se one district one factory no. Emu mako wo ha aduosian kron 169 ena eye adwuma se yekasei.
A total of 169 one district one factory projects are currently operational.
Afei eba Ghana sikasam so a ofori ata kire yani so ene institute aban aye ene ba bi aye hwe animu se afempinu ne aduonu nan ebeduro no na yesikasam akwakogina. Afei onimanyafo ken ofori ata esade tudwa se ye ka se Ghana for pepepem edunsia 16 million ena eda NHIS and a National Health Insurance Scheme no eso. Also for wesikasam so ekwan a Ghana befa so na afei yase anya rehemu ewe yesikasem mu no wantumi amfa ntudwa se ne a onimanyafo atoforsen ekere no.
Bye-bye budget is designed to inflict more pain and hardship on the ordinary Ghanaian and businesses.
Afei odura KT Hamon so de atudwa se magana for me yakuma entu kra yakuma entu esan se budget no a aban de tudwa no enida so wom.
We are breaking the age. We are coming back.
Afei budget yi nkomo ya ye ne animdifo obekasa e de afa ho na ya hwe senia eniema esi ekro na asire bia okase boy mu anwumre ye fama Osons chemist wo na de Osons garlic capsules abese asene MTN say we dey for you everywhere you go. High Sense Ghana, everyday prices for everyday people. Pepsodent cavity fighter Paulson papa Imbus Herbal Mixture posi ni na dro. Amen Scientific Herbal Hospital Allahu Shafi. Lion Aluminium Products Limited eho ena yeton jensen ne yede bodan so ene ne enu amu sa nwumaku ya da roma ena ya abeko matranse anwumre ya medical seboyi ebremo ye frame nana ya okese obetimi aframe the cardinal afenzam ni kiremu ne Ghana so for eskasam so ken ofori ata ne eko Ghana mrahye bedwam eko kire oman na ko homasika yede be ya adwuma afeda na wo chechemu no no ri tudwa se aban edisi na nisu se oye one district one factory ye ka say emu wo ha aduosian kron 169 ena eye adwuma.
Mr. Speaker, in accordance with government's strong commitment to industrialization, a total of 169 one district one factory projects are currently operational, leading to a total employment of 169,000. An additional 152 factories are currently under construction and expected to be fully operational in 2024. These industries are expected to increase value addition and support our efforts to reset the economy.
Onimanyafo ken ofori ata amano anso ha o kire se aban wo mpundunwuma maako baye ahasan aduanan mesre ahasan aduanan 340 a why na adwen se afin kɔ na wie no awie abo akire e de ama woni asese yemu adwuma.
Another infrastructure for poverty eradication program, government continues to embark on strategic investments across our communities nationwide in line with the fiscal consolidation plan. Through the development authorities, over 340 projects were completed in 2023 and accordingly handed over to the beneficiary communities.
Na onimanyafo ken ofori ata mfanso wa Osi YEA Youth Employment Agency for no. Wamuso so ene adwumakuo bi edi nkomo akwa animu pa ya enchekra na womo awie. Na de ompese omo ye ne se obeye call center eno anya bian mabunu be mpemaduonu 20,000 ene benya adwuma e wo ho aye.
On 14th November 2022, government launched the Youth Start Initiative as a direct response to the employment challenge facing our country. Through this initiative, government sought to create an entrepreneurial nation by providing training, competitive funding, access to markets and technology to our youth. This is to cause a cultural shift and guide our teaming youth into entrepreneurship by assisting them start, build, and grow their own businesses. Mr. Speaker, a year on, the preparatory works have been completed. The three components of the initiative, Youth Start District, Entrepreneurship Program.
Na onmanya for kind of reata mfanso wa ebaku adwuma ho so a ose aban atwa sika esom 1 billion Ghana cedis 1 billion Ghana cedis na sa adwuma sika no watwa no planting for food and jobs no ne phase 2 na niema hyehyem eho na aban epese odi sika no ko.
Mr. Speaker, planting for food and jobs 2.0 by design. PFJ 2.0 places greater emphasis on value chain approaches and focuses on strengthening linkages between actors along a legible agricultural commodity value chain, broadly categorized into grains, roots, and tuber vegetables and poultry. PFJ has a special focus on poultry to address the heavy reliance on imports. Mr. Speaker, the significant shortfall between demand and domestic production of vegetables requires urgent action, especially considering the impact of the recent supply disruptions from the Sahelian region.
Afei, eba IMF wa se munim se si ababi atie. Ye headmaster ne IMF or the abegina yeso. Say wa ma school ntem and why late. And break time on so in wako break. Ada na woda wa class. Wontimi nto sadin e chena gista mo wense sawa nya de ambetimi awe na ntwinam se si IMF ogina e konso de den ejatei IMF no so akosi sen.
The IMF through an IMF staff review mission followed by final approval by the IMF executive board. Disbursements under the program are tied to successful completion of each review. The reviews assess our progress towards meeting the quantitative performance criteria, indicative targets, and structural benchmarks. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to inform this August House that based on the IMF's own assessment at the staff level, after the first review, Ghana met all the 6 quantitative performance criteria. The 2 out of the 3 indicative targets, the 2 met a floor on social spending, a floor on non-oil public revenue. The indicative target on zero net accumulation of payables was extended largely to the ongoing negotiations with energy sector IPP on legacy debt. And 6 of the 7 structural benchmarks due end 2023 were also met, and subsequently the 7th has been met.
Na wamfanso wa eba no eka Ghana dia sesei ya bruka bra ma sesei ya honya akono na adwa ma so kra ye kwa ye bo agokura obi amie yen na wabo ebusia ne bie no so opening can say
the stock of global debt as a share of global GDP was 258% last year. Moreover, as of 2022, the stock of public debt was 238%, 9 percentage points higher than in 2019. To return Ghana to a path of debt sustainability from a debt to GDP ratio of 89%, Mr. Speaker, we aim to be at 66% this year. The goal is to achieve a 55% debt to GDP ratio and 18% revenue to GDP ratio over the medium term.
Na eba no domestic debt exchange program no so a aban ye ya wonu mu anaja wetietie ankakra ede asie nyina aban tete so se ne ho akere no wontimi ntua no ho aka enti se Ghana fo anso na sene manfo mato bone ade ri nyina anso na sene a wontimi ntua no ho aka anhwe akatia kra ntimi ntua bio mu no eno so de na aka fa ho.
The Speaker, Ghana completed the first phase of the DDEP in February 2023 where 82 billion cedis of old domestic debts were exchanged for new bonds. In this process, Mr. Speaker, the average coupon of 9.1% were achieved with a participation rate of 84%. Mr. Speaker, we have come to the end of the domestic debt exchange program and need to focus on the external debt restructuring to further improve the debt trajectory. Even today, even more to enable us reach the target landing zone of 55%. Mr. Speaker, discussions with Eurobond investors are continuing. We have given a broad outline of 20 to 40% haircut under 20 years and interest rates of less than 5%. Ghana bilateral creditors, Mr. Speaker, are also working with us, and we expect the OCC, Mr. Speaker, to come up with a memorandum of understanding which would ensure that this body co-chaired by France and China will deliver the appropriate MOU to the IMF for their board meeting next week.
Na ebano akwan so a onmunyafo Ken Oforiata se aban atwasika ato a odi be yi akwan na kwan mu ba ko a onti mu nani nguso eye agona nkwanta takwakwan.
Mr. Speaker, we continue to improve on our road networks, and Mr. Speaker, once the official creditor committee has made its announcement, we will continue with all extendedly funded projects that will be resumed. However, the overflowing projects are ongoing and at various stages of completion. Kumasi Lake Road and Drainage Extension Project is completed. Reconstruction of Bichem Techimanchia Akumaden Road is 71% complete. Construction of flyover on the Accra Tema motorway from Flower Port Roundabout is 60% complete. Phase 2 of the Tema motorway roundabout, including construction of the third tier of the interchange, is 56% complete. Construction of 4 major bypasses at Osino, Enyinem, Inyirisi, and Konongo along the Accra-Kumasi Highway commenced in 2023 and at various stages of completion. Reconstruction of Agona and Kwanta-Tapa Road is 44% complete. Dualization of 4 main roads and traffic management works 100% complete. Selected roads in Second D and Phase 1 is 28% complete. Dualization of Insawam of Franco Road, including the widening of the road to 10 lanes with a 6-lane expressway and 4-lane service road interchanges at Amasaman, Kobiman, Midier, and Insawam project is 30% complete. Construction of 4-tier interchange at Swame in the Ashanti region has commenced. Mr. Speaker, the following projects under the Master Project Agreement with Sino Hydro Corporation has been completed. Tamale Interchange, Western Region and Corpus Inner City Roads, construction of Pohoi Jasikan Dodi Pepesi, 64.4 kilometers, upgrading of selected feeder roads in Ashanti and Western Region. However, the following are at various stages of completion. Sunyani Inner City Roads, construction of Sunyani and Brekum Inner City Roads, PTC Roundabout Interchange Taprade 80%.
Ebano akwan so a de odi kan boy pa na ye bechem tachimentia akomadan kwan eno ka ho asem afei Brekum PTC ho kwan so roundabout ho no so obeye adwuma ho afei sunyan so Inner City Roads so obeye efri na nabosoma dwom ho saa de kokosi nkwaben ho famu ho de kokosi post office ho enwan fa akire ho a je aku anim ho fa ho de ba ni nyina o se no so ombeye ho adwuma afei de man tene ye efri penkwase na locus ho no e de fa kotokrum etwemu ade akokyera e ho de mante ho asem so ka so obeye de ne mante afei Swami Interchange o so obeye amasama kwan yi a eno so wo mo ye ho adwuman o ka ho asem kire se interchange mako enan ena wo so interchange no baako ewo amasaman afei sapema wo so baako wo ho medie baako wo ho ena Sawom Junction wan katan so baako ewo ho dodo di Papasu Road eno so o ka ho asem ena akwan bi a aka emu Fida Road ena akwantempon a o se aban abonitirimupo se obeye ni nyina so waka eho asem eka ho na aguna nkwanta takwade no George Mekudu ka ho beto no kakra wo se esi a no kwan no ma ye be o hantem aduanan nan na aban abonitirim se obewie kwan no na eba enwomasuan so a wono nyafo Ken Oforiata kire se aban e de free SHS by ena ye ka sei Ghana adisuafo opepepem ba kwa chiripo empema hasan 1.3 million ena wo mo enya free SHS so emfa so.
We continue to support a total of 448,000 first-year senior high school students, bringing the total beneficiaries for 2023 academic year to 1.3 million students. In 2024, the implementation of this transformative initiative will continue. Mr. Speaker, we continue feeding grants for over 7,500 students in special schools and capitation grants to all public basic schools across the country. Additionally, registration fees of over 471,000 prospective candidates from public junior high school for the BCE were paid to guarantee that all candidates will sit for the examination.
Wacheche nususumu nanuachi ena onmunyafo ken ofori atase mampani akufu adoba ya obefa Ghana sikasema fimpinu eni dunsia no saa bre no na yesikasem no na ho ode ne kese ni nyina eye broni beka se size of Ghanaian economy no na eye opepepepem ahenu eni edu enkron opepepem ahenum egu akire 219.5 billion Ghana cedis na Ghana economy no ne size eno no 2016 nyame eya adomo a afi empinu ne aduonu nan no nko na wie ya mampani akufu ado edna adwuma ebeba ewiye no na Ghana sikasem no emu atra de akwa kodu opepepepe baako 1 trillion Ghana cedis.
All of this, Mr. Speaker, deepens our democratic development by prioritizing resources for institutions to support the conduct of the 2020 general elections. It commits us to funding existing projects in roads, rural electrification, rural telephony, IPEP, and our areas. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 budget is even more significant because we cross, Mr. Speaker, the 1 trillion gross domestic product mark for the first time in our economic history. Let me repeat, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's economy under President Akufo-Addo in 2024, final year in office, is projected to be valued over from the 219.5 billion we inherited in 2016. Mr. Speaker, 2024, 1 trillion gross domestic product.
Na wamfanso ho a eba no enhyehyɛ so a aban edigu akwanmu a bibite se akosombo na no esuo ya onumkoko bie oyene ya ede aba ho eno so okanea aban ai na adwen so obeye de afa ho afa oti savannah bono east mantam ho nyina so esuo no ha adwene ewo ho ena kuadwuma so ekwan a yebefa so ebepagya mu eho no so nea osoafo no kan ye nie
Dance village in Mepe in the Volta region and Sovereign. Indeed, we empathize with the families that have been affected and displaced by this village. We met victims, townsfolk, children, and the chiefs, and of course, the Honorable Member of Parliament, Okujato, during the visit. Mr. Speaker, government has budgeted an amount of 220 million to support the relief place for the communities affected by the Akosombo spillage, as well as floods upstream in the Oti, Savannah, and Bono East regions. Mr. Speaker,
this is for your eyes only. Honorable members,
Mr. Speaker,
please.
Mr. Speaker, we couldn't help but to show a shot of the Honorable Member of Parliament, Okujeto, in this picture. Mr. Speaker, in addition, the Ministry of Finance, after the visit, was quickened to respond. We have requested funding from the World Bank under the IDA crisis response window to support the resettlement of the victims, restoration of livelihoods, compensation, and reconstruction of infrastructure in the affected areas.
Na ade ba kwa Ghana fo nso aka ho asempa ni se aban se ema bosomeso aso omubu omo nsan no so oje hoto na aban ban kure ni a se bosomi aso a obabu ni nsa no eno so amoase na ode be ne ho yie pad no aban eje ho tax eno so Ghana fo aka se aban enyi sa tax ni mfiri ho aban so wate na enema mienu eno wayi tax no so every so e-vehicle, yeah, no, yeah, they buy public transport. And afi, pardon, no, near Ghana Henina, we eat one free so. In the Sabia, ona data o senase o taste were high into the also performing party and their tax that so nemum say party I no Ghana has say ya ye nimu no dia and there etwo bia na so.
We believe in lower taxes as a government for industry, and we are working others aggressively with the GRA and to be cemented with the Standing Committee of the Mutual Prosperity Dialogue. Mr. Speaker, further to the above, the following reliefs have been prioritized for implementation. To extend, Mr. Speaker, the zero rate of VAT on locally manufactured African prints for 2 more years. Mr. Speaker, to waive import duties on import of electric vehicles for public transportation for a period of 8 years. Mr. Speaker, to waive import duties on semi-knockdown and completely knockdown electric vehicles imported by registered EV assembly companies in Ghana for a period of 8 years. Mr. Speaker, to extend zero rate of VAT on locally assembled vehicles for 2 more years. Mr. Speaker, to zero rate VAT on locally produced sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, to grant import duty waivers for raw materials for the local manufacture of sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, to grant exemptions on the importation of agricultural machinery equipment and inputs and medical consumables, raw materials for the pharmaceutical industry. Mr. Speaker, a VAT flat rate of 5% to replace the 15% standard VAT rate on all commercial will be introduced to simplify industrial and vehicle emissions.
No, the attorney say, electric cars no abano is the areas will be a use no. Aban is enfien or trade anymore. A twon where that's running where year free so. Say by as electric cars near and we see any 20 say, a bongo di fara no modiano. Ya no, what has say Akan is a Chomabaga said, Ubi Bocusino. Saa no say no aban shaman phone grant mo mfa no mrantie no nyuma adwumakuo bi organa ha say a ono no oyɛ saa fidie no bi say aban ayituo afri so wo de no eto enchen a wonom so a ɛwɔ nufura adwuma no mu no pharmaceuticals no wo mo niam a wo kokoto de ba bɛyɛ nnuro no ɛno so to no ananka aban gie ni nyinaa ɛhɔ wayi saa to ni nyinaa afri hɔ ama wo sɛ bɛyɛ a wo metumi akwakoto wo mo niam na wo de aba bɛfra nnuro ɛwɔ Ghana ha medical consumables no wo se to no ɛda so no aban ayi afi onum a eye pad no e wo Ghana ha no niema no amode ye pad no de mo kra ba ni nyina nso so aban ayi e de afiri ho afi cars no nso so a ya hyehye no omamu ha no VAT no ana da so no aban kire se mfie mienu edi animu yi cars ya hyehye omamu ha se nyina wayi sa VAT no nso so afiri ho se be ye beboa ama omanfo ho ahan yen kakra na no e da nchen a eba National Health Insurance Scheme apomden si achi ba no nso so a so for West Kasam zone munya for Ken ofuri ata kire se ye ka se Ghana for opepepem edu ensia 16 million ena eda National Health Insurance eso.
We have reformed the NHIS to improve and expand health service delivery to 16 million Ghanaians out of the targeted 20 million Ghanaians. The National Health Insurance Scheme, Mr. Speaker, is now active with coverage of 60 million people, representing 80% of the targeted group. Efforts to integrate the Ghana card into the enrollment system are progressing steadily.
Afe La General Hospital Mokaya Nra ye kan wasem ewe ye kasi boyimu na eno so ene na ban eye e de afa ho.
Government has renegotiated the contract terms of the large General Hospital project and will now be funded through the national budget. The contractor is expected, Mr. Speaker, to be back on site next week to complete a significant amount of work by 2024.
One vans wa adanya eye papa na efo so amanfo ebenya baabi atena na ohun adwodwo wo mo affordable housing scheme eno so oswafo no kan sei.
Government continued works on phase 3 of the Security Services Housing Program involving the construction of 320 units for the Ghana Police Service at the Ghana National Police Training School, Tesano. In addition, work commenced on the first phase of the revised National Affordable Housing Program at Pokwase that was launched by His Excellency the President and the Minister of Works and Housing. Government will commence work on the National Affordable Housing Project at the Deso in the Ashanti region to complement the Pokwase project.
Afei, Okan bibi so efa enyinama hoden ene kwan e befa so enye biama na gina so na yede aye adwuma e wo man mu ho.
Mr. Speaker, on the issue of independent power producers, government has continued to engage key operational independent power producers in positive and constructive bilateral negotiations. Engagements have centered on the sustainability of Ghana's energy sector, as well as the restructuring of legacy IPPs and power purchase agreements, future-proofing timely payment to IPPs going forward, and the implementation of critically needed energy sector reforms. Government aims, Mr. Speaker, to finalize commercial agreements with key IPPs in the coming weeks. Mr. Speaker, government remains mindful and appreciative of the continuing commitment on the part of IPPs, not only to support Ghana's power sector, but to collaborate with government and the ECG to achieve sustainable future for the sector, while shoring up Ghana's reputation as a compelling investment climate.
One fans who are eba bambon swa, or swafon chile ni abain, aye, any ni obeye, Akan.
Mr. Speaker, government will continue to resource the Ghana Armed Forces to collaborate with other security services in the operations such as Cowleg, Calm Life, Halt, Gong Gong, Conquered Fit, etc. Mr. Speaker, the establishment of 15 forward operating bases along the northern border of the country to also prevent cross-border crimes and terrorist infiltration are also progressing steadily. In addition, the FOB at its level in the western region is 55% complete. Mr. Speaker, internal security by the Ghana Police Force continues to be sustained. And Mr. Speaker, the police service improved community watch program for professional motorbike riders has elevated the sense of security in the country. The service received 100 Toyota Hilux pickups, 6 armored personnel carriers, and 600 motorbikes to augment the fleet of the Foreign Police Visibility and Motorbike Patrol units to enhance their work. Mr. Speaker, Immigration Service is also being improved. The service also conducted 5,900 inspections at various locations and bringing much security to the country.
Na oswafo no brobro nsem we nyina so ewieye no na edom kuma na tenene minority chief whip Kwame Governs Agboja e kan say saban we de obi aka say omo no homodene onya ade na de ma aban we wasagu ni wani mu ase kura ye da amakwata gina ono a ne kokoso ne tumi so ya kan adane ne ya kan budget bi say ya o ya kan budget no anadwo no a na ujafo wakwako issue statement say to butu abansu atwam ade ezu budget izu ankasa papa itwamu ferry enti na mbibi fo ntimi nka say o minister we de wuti na ade ono omnim say nya ade wuti kra mampani be hye ne so mfa ndi brento tika o de onyi ntum keke so wuti na nka to yi won san fa mra na yentwa eto ena omde wada omde kofam ha na omde akofam ha ne nam ha ena mese ena sa tinanko obia nim se sabre a aban ho akire no ase bede ni ayentua ne kai a wo pesika ya ade die enka aban be san de sa tobutu no aba so afọ nso be gina wa kasa sa wie ya tobutu yi wantimi anka ho asem MPP aban e ka ye bo atuani.
They never did that. They've just basically sacked them. And many of these people, in fact, many of the people who were there were even NPP people who they recruited. Now, if this is what they have done to NPP people, you can imagine what they do to people who are not. So, as for the road sector, you and I know, the road minister cancelled the road toll, claiming they are going to build the motorway in the shortest possible time because of e-levy and other things. As we speak, many road projects are in abeyance because they can't pay the contractors. The road sector arrears is something that is collapsing construction businesses and leaving a lot of people unemployed because if the project is not going, you can't hire carpenters and other things. Tell me what you have heard in this budget today that gives you any hope. the mood in this country is gloomy. The only way this country can rise up again is for the NPP government to be shown the door in 2024. The only government that can rescue this country is the new NDC government in 2024. Thank you.
Na ebra onmonyamfo governance Kwame Agboja kan we wiye no doma ism na sebedwani onmonyamfo Paul Chumbema o hwe ne sa o se akwai budget ya papa be kan wante ase
Sir, when you take the sanitary part of one because it's a budget young focus on helping Ghanaian. Budget can you debate here, which you debate on the tenants that the average Ghanaian will be happy about. And then budget after now, who go NDC and MPP. At the paper, Magana phone, so be a chop, Mamumbu, now Baba MPP and on my purple plan of Yard to Najim, Sans Sanoman. They move away from it. Now you debate budget, passionate of political colors. Because this is a budget, no new tax. Sending is a fast one for by. That is not change our person the share will be concerned. A budget, and however. Let's focus on the development of the country and let's discuss or debate this budget, this question of political color.
Budget in the poem, about one fat tax for Frubiama. We cry back and go tax in the biso. Sans a cast, no memo tax way. Electric cars no, where you budget, tax in every so. Afe, almost so, a one new mouth no more, a Tobia no mutia 15% flat rate VAT and a bunch wine 5%. And this is our ho. Until what it is the name of the crasso. Antias, I was man, Tias, Mamma Uncle Cassidy. I said, I buy buy no, why me can't pay. Yanasa. Na atayamante muswafo onmunyamfo kwabena ochereda komensa onabu KOD enso kire se send onmunyamfo kenofuriata eba be kan ye no se 2024 nko na wiye no na Ghana GDP no anyine akwakodu 1 trillion Ghana cedis e kire se aba we baaye wabayi adwuma no ameda
wa mo yenya ya tie ho ase de economy no wa start urgent and nando that alone is enough hope na say hope wo ho no biara so to me plan not mushim na national brabo konenim na community na brabo konenim na Ghana so okonenim. Until the fact that the economy is growing means that now when you put in an investment or put in any effort, you're also going to get the reward for it. Until a ban from COVID time or disrupting an economy not up to this time, you know. And I do not some okay this economy no or say able to be a PJV this one. Yes, not sure as a party and as a government where possible. Two. Actually, in Yamawa, you have a lot of tax waivers. Today, I want to manufacture sanitary pad. Now, do a Ghana. There's tax waiver for them, and that is very good.
Na dabu sumna shebe jani. Ononya fo kwamna minta Akando. Eno no so ka se hwe. Eh. Na kenofori atei Ghana ha oti hebia na so woda ha. Esan se wo hwe niam a ekoso Ghana ha pa na nka wo hwe se aben ba be budget amankofu ata na chi a wa be we tro ka so do budget we ka ban na makra nke
budget here dey buy bibia enim every people nya no be eda aye very boring and there's absolutely nothing in this budget. They empower no one country. So we are not going to look at the figures. We there here just the highlights and on my definitely figures nankasa, but unfortunately it was not inspiring. Be papa be and said them free budget in the Mwamba. So me, I was suspecting that the national health insurance will be capped, will be decapped. Unfortunately, national health insurance here, I say still a binding so will be discount, dear no be. So many person me pentem a prepare akwe baby no. I want to look at the figures. Ebia na baby wo mo one can no figures them. So I think but so far the policies are highlighted here there. Wa makra nke say okay kase minister for finance or babe kind budgeter na o money nyina tedin say ye tie people be afrim we be ye there the papa be any the papa policies papa be any ma obetimi act apekekra now they akasem
kwabra minta Akando kan say na onmonyamfo Ebenezer Oklite tell abi manya krobo lowa manya krobo na hebedwani se hwe kwabra say okra de oso omo da hwe what kind of budget no adom kase majority for no wo mu hwa nkromo ade o man kasa ni se bibia ni budget num na budget wen so a kire se kasa ban bi asa no oni mu adwuma pa enna kenofori ata ene ni wura mampani Akufo-Addo o ma bebede na dine e wo mrahye bedwam yi.
A lot of the things that they told us before, if you cast your mind back, prior to 2016, one, they said our NDC government was borrowing too much. What have we seen? Unprecedented, 13 billion within 4 years. What have they done with that money? Another area, the banking sector, the minimum capital requirement here, 120 million. Okay, how many banks were closed? If we even close up to 10, right, multiplied by that, Muslim used to 25 billion, and what do you call it, closing banks. What it means, let's say, we had people who were not up to the level. They were incompetent, because if you need 9 billion to create jobs, and you have to use 25 billion to destroy, that means that you are not up to the task.
Now abaye niam atrokan se wi a o se yemu yensemo adwuma na wo ye na nkasa kra no wonte ase kra eti we eye ne a efri emrahye bedwam ba ne no ne nsoso Roman for be sensemba no nsoso se ne onti ni John etworo de maaye no eti budget no nsoso se ne ahotefo Emmanuel Akoli ena afei William Gentu NPS FM newsroom eboabo no e maaye eno no. Now we are brofo ene kasa ye de entiasie. Professor Godfrey Bokpin ono de oko school de oko sua ene sikasem ene ehon tiasie. No ochira de e wo University of Ghana. Eba ne say ye nim de 40 Professor Bokpin nom ene e from ma wono mo chirasie. Prof Majo.
Yeah, me ma ajo ena me ma etiefo ina ajo. Na
boko de.
Yes I don't. Yes, I do.
Oh, we're ready at them, and I'm on pie boy. Here, pa. Now, finance minister, no, what's he saying?
First and foremost, is to fulfill all righteousness. The Constitution demands it. Public Financial Management Act. It requires, or Mampeni, through the Minister of Finance, will lay before Parliament its budget and economic statement. In the wisdom of Parliament, the budget is supposed to be presented the year preceding the year of implementation. And even though the budget is 2024, we are all being given the opportunity ahead of implementation to know government intentions about what, how do we mobilize revenue. Government doesn't run on credit. Government collects from the citizens, private sector, businesses, and a support from outside to fund all that they intend to do. One is to fulfill the legal requirements. The other important also issue is the government is the biggest consumer in the economy, and the government sets the tone for households, private sector, in fact, even for our development partners. And it's also Ghana beyond aid. What is Ghana beyond aid? Which our president promoted, I think, between 2017 and then 2018. Ghana beyond aid is not anti-aid or aid rejection. It's to align aid. So government outlines 8 priority areas. Then it would expect donor partners to then align their aid in terms of the direction government is going. Now, even though what we have now may not suggest like it's totally from us, remember until 2026 and maybe beyond, up to 2027, 2028, our life is going to be shaped largely by the IMF program that we have committed ourselves to. Introduction minister, no all year presentation in Parliament, and that's all kind of document now. A lot of the projections are here, but they are already in the IMF supported program. Only understand. For instance, about say next year, our GDP growth, overall GDP growth, the economy, it will grow by 2.8%. We knew that already. It's in the IMF supported program that was approved on May 17, 2023. Other indicators now they are there. Yes, they are there. So in the next, until 2026, largely our life is going to be shaped also by the IMF supported program. We share revenue, a buying person raising. There is already a target amaye, when I say IMF asset amaye in the IMF supported program, which is to increase our revenue to GDP to about 18.7% by the end of the program in 2026. And they have target for 2024, target for 2025, and then target for 2026 as well. In the baseline, the budget is nothing but government intentions. It represents intentions. It's not the same as accomplishment. The mere fact that the budget has been presented doesn't mean that we have achieved results. No. We now have to have an implementation strategy to translate the budget aspirations and objectives into actual. But for now, we can say that it's a document that becomes a basis for you and I to plan for next year for businesses, private sector, banks, multinationals, in the manufacturing and all of that. There are significant changes in the budget on your journey. And then also the budget also has implications for households and then for private sector in terms of taxes. Osha Abaya now also said there will be some tax relief waivers when it comes to importation of medical consumables, sanitary pads, and a few other areas and stuff like that. But overall, we expect that the amount of tax revenue government will raise from Ghanaians will go up next year. The other bit also, there are some macro variables. We tend to lean on government because you and I may not have the capacity to forecast inflation on your mission. So the government has that capacity. So the government will tell us what inflation will look like next year. So government is telling us that they are hoping to bring down inflation to 15% next year. The target for this year is 31.3%. Already, inflation has come down from 54.1% in December 2022 to 35.2% in October last year. Okay, so it means that at least the process of disinflation, the kind of inflation is coming down. At least that is becoming a bit entrenched now. But the other thing also, you said, inflation of 35.2% end of October this year is still very high. It's still very high. What it means, prices from October last year to this year, prices of goods have gone up by 35.2% on the average. And it means that is very high, right? So if you are in the formal economy, wage economy, now say wage salary, now say between October last year and this year, your salary hasn't gone up. And yet, inflation has gone up by 35.2%. It tells you how you have been impacted. Again, we can also look at people who are on pension, right? And but the other thing also, hello.
Prof, the
other thing also is even though on one breath, any minister, Abaya Adrian said, recovery, we've seen some recovery, but totally we are turning corner here. Turning corner. There's one corner, but there are other corners to be turned. So, who share inflation average 35.2% October last year. But say who be now share who be food inflation eduane eduane boarding pa. And also say no ya dey or say aban e ma na me cost you pa because eduane board nentia e was aban any ko eduane so ne say food inflation omemu ha between 42% and 44% of our disposable income or household expenditure is on food. And to share eduane na gi e budget degree ewo memu. It is a Diani Bopo Rosa, say a Hagana Bopa. Now, even the food inflation above from all right, from 49% in September this year to 44% in October. But I didn't want one person and also an ultimate trend say recovery now it's not broad-based. It's not broad-based and it's not inclusive because OSHA differences now. It depends baby how big it and brain. Eduane Bobe din wo honomasin baby there are different places. And the fact say via Eastern region. Eastern region can normally need a share Eastern region in one of our food basket regions. Just we rely on that region for food. But interestingly, food inflation in Eastern region is very, very high. It's more than 65%. So can you imagine food inflation between October last year and this year? Our Eastern region of Ghana has gone up. Food price has gone up by more than 65%. That is huge. That is huge. Now, before, in fact, the month of September, interestingly, the month of September, now northeast of Ghana, northeast region of Ghana, and another food inflation is very high. But the data Ghana Statistical Service put out there is telling us that food inflation is now high in the eastern region compared to northeast. Northeast is around 61%. So you can imagine, say, a cancer nearby above from all right, things are improving. But food inflation is 60-something% in eastern region, is 61.8% in northeast, is 49% in Bono region, is 49% in northern region, is 48.9% in western region, upper west region is 46%. In fact, in Kanheya, food inflation is around 41.9% per the data that Ghana Statistical Service puts out there. So, and no chance, even though you have recovery, you have inflation platform, there are the marginality exists, differences exist. Until we have to work hard to consolidate the recovery. So there's a lot of work ahead of us. The other bit, and the person said, even though we have seen stability, relative stability with the IMF program, even the ocean city depreciation from the beginning of the year to September now, the city has depreciated by more than 20% against all the major trading currencies. Of course, the bigger part of that depreciation happened in January. But if you look at it cumulatively, the depreciation is more than 20%. You cannot say this is stability from there. But of course, after the IMF program from May 17, 2023 to now, the share rate of depreciation now is not that significant to alter the economic decisions of agents. So you can see some relative stability from that side. After, so the other bit of the share interest rate. The interest rate now to say is still very high. Government itself could not be borrowing in excess on the average more than 30% and claim that things have improved. No, it's very expensive. So OSHA, the Ghana reference rate now is around 32%, and that is very high. The real effect of that, you will see it on how the various sectors of our economy is responding to the economic recovery. So let's go to growth, or what we call GDP growth. Now, the OSHA 2024 GDP growth now by our forecast now is 2.8%, which is the same as the GDP growth forecast in the IMF supported program, 2.8%. That growth is not sufficient. Okay? The can't say that growth is sufficient. It's not enough to improve the lot of Ghanaians. It's not enough to improve the general well-being of Ghanaians. So that growth is not sufficient. But more importantly, let's look at where that growth will come from. And I want to relate this to first year, a half-year growth for 2023. When you look at the data, it tells you that the growth we are talking about, we cannot celebrate it that much. Even though it's some progress, we are with government on one breath that, yes, we are turning the corner. we are making progress, but there's still a lot that has to be done. If you look at the first 2 quarters of this year, the growth that we are seeing, which is exceeding the forecast in the IMF program, is coming from agriculture and then service. So over agriculture is coming from crops and livestock. Probably that is also explaining why the October inflation was driven largely by food inflation. So food inflation came down significantly, and that is what dragged the inflation rate from September figure of 38.1% to October figure of 35.2%. Okay, food, crops, and then livestock. But above service, again, is driven by ICT, information communication. So these 2 sub-sectors that are driving the growth, they are not labor intensive. So that tells you that it's not growth that will come along significantly with job creation. And right now, Ghana, we need jobs. Now, where will the jobs come from? The jobs should actually come from industry. Now, if you look at the first 2 quarters growth that we are celebrating, which is also captured in the government document, manufacturing is actually recording negative growth. So it means that Ghana's manufacturing sector is actually contracting, is shrinking. So it means that industries are complaining. It means that industries are not expanding, they are actually contracting. Once they are contracting, the implication is that they are likely to be laying off workers. They are not expanding, or some may be relocating to other countries. So the only aspect of industry that recorded growth in the first 2 quarters of this year is mining and quarrying. Now, again, social mining and quarrying from 2012 to 2021, that sector has really not added to job creation. So within industry, sub-sector area is actually not contributing significantly to job creation. So the job creation capacity of the economy now, we are not seeing growth coming from that sector that can also engineer what we call job-rich growth. Because what we need now, we need jobs. We need decent jobs for average Ghanaian. We need growth that will rope in moderate and low-income earners. If you have no idea what university graduates are going through just to get a job, it's not that easy. So we should be looking at preparing the fundamentals of the economy, looking forward to maybe the next 10 years, 15 years, because the UN is telling us, per the forecast, that says Ghana, a population by 2040, we will be 45 million. Right now, we are around 31 point something million, or let's say averagely 32 million people. By 2040, we will be 45 million. That population, 58% of that population, they will be less than 30 years. So it means that by 2040, majority of Ghanaians, 58% of Ghanaians, they will be less than 30 years. What will be the characteristics of that age group? They would probably be people who have finished free senior high school, gone through the universities, and then they will be entering the labor market. They will be looking for jobs. So where would the jobs come from? So we should be thinking about engineering a kind of growth that would also come along with job creation. That is what we call in economics job-rich growth. That is what Ghana needs now. But if I look at the IMF, the 2024 program, the budget, and you even look at it across the IMF projections up to 2026, you are not going to get that job-rich growth. And that is something that we have to look at. Now, I believe that this is not lost on the government, because our president told us that the IMF-supported program alone is not enough to solve all our problems. So what I'm looking forward to seeing in the 2024 budget is what is it that Ghana is doing to complement the IMF-supported program so that by 2026, 2030, 2040, we will be in a position to create about 10 million decent jobs, especially in the formal wage economy. Because the World Bank is telling us that between now and 2040, Ghana needs to create about 10 million decent jobs, especially in the formal wage economy, right? So how do we lay economic fundamentals, put the right pillars in place such that by 2040 we would have been able to create cumulatively 10 million decent jobs for the people who will be entering the labor market? So yes, we've made some progress. We've seen some relative stability, but there's still a lot that we have to do. And the only thing that I have to say is that say I can't say economic transformation. Hello.
Prof. Patomi Wahao.
Okay, say I can't say economic transformation. In fact, it requires patience. It requires patience. What we call economic transformation and inclusive productivity growth, it will not take us less than 10 years to have that. It will not take us less than 10 years. In fact, in some jurisdictions, it took them more than 15 years. So today you hear in the news, we are mentioning Rwanda here and there. I mean, GDP per capita terms, Rwanda is not closer to Ghana. Okay, but the point is that Rwanda has been doing the right things consistently for some time now, and we've seen the progress that they are making. The problem in Ghana is that even though economic transformation takes a while, we are not doing the right things consistently. We do the right things maybe 1 or 2 years, and then we take several steps back and all of that. Now, the reality is that when you cost, I don't want to say when you cost, because what we have right now is a combination of external shocks and then also local policy weakness, right? That has brought us here. When you see these kind of disruptions, you cannot just easily jumpstart your economy. It will take you a while. Correcting economic disruptions will take a little while, and it can be costly. And as you can see right now, there's a heavy price that Ghanaians are paying in order to have this recovery. And already you can see it in the budget. So you see, we are under an IMF program, right? But government has some scope to give some relief and some interventions. You know where that is coming from, Master? It's because the domestic debt exchange has created some fiscal space for the government. So in 2023, government budgeted to spend approximately 53 billion cedis as interest on our debt. Okay? That is just 2023 alone. Now, because of the draconian domestic debt exchange, government has saved a lot of money from that side. So overall, government fiscal savings from the domestic debt exchange is estimated to be around 61 billion cedis. That is fiscal space for the next couple of years. Okay, so government is taking advantage of that to begin to cushion Ghanaians in some areas, and they've also deployed that fiscal space in actually finishing some projects and stuff like that. Okay, so we are still a long way to go. But I don't know how much time we have. But before I conclude, let me say this. In all the competitive election years that we've had as a country, we tend not to go by the budget. Hello?
Prof. Patomi.
Yeah, in all the competitive elections that we've had in this country, it doesn't matter whether it is NPP that is in power or NDC that is in power. We don't go largely by the budget that we run with in that particular year. I'll give you an example. 2000, we didn't run exactly with the budget. We threw the budget aside at some point and followed after votes and elections, right? Now, 2000 was one. The exception is 2004, largely also because of EPIC Okay, the heavily indebted poor country initiative that President Kufuor signed for, and then also the multilateral debt relief initiative that the president signed for which we completed in 2006. So because of the fiscal space that was created, and also the 2004 election was highly predictable. Okay, it was highly predictable that President Kufuor was going to have a second term. When it happens that way, politicians don't overspend when they know that the outcome is largely predictable. But in all the competitive elections where the projection was that it could go this way or it could go that way, politicians tend to overspend, especially the incumbent government tends to overspend to win over the electorate. And we saw that in 2000. We saw that in 2008 under the supervision of President Kufuor. We saw that also in 2012. Actually, 2012 is a year of its kind. The election excesses of 2012, it took us more than 4 years to recover from it. Then you can also look at 2016. Okay, 2016 and then 2020. So in all those competitive elections, we don't tend to run with the budget that we present. So a good example is that you see we will target inflation, we will not achieve it, we will target fiscal deficit, we will overrun it, we will, across so many. And we are likely to have something similar next year. It doesn't matter we are under an IMF program, because when it comes to the last 4 months of all the competitive election years of 2000, 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020, the last 4 months, nobody manages anything in this country. We actually don't even track the data, and we will not report it, because every minister, every district chief executive, everybody is on the campaign trail. They are signing contracts, constructing roads in the midnight in the cities, so that seeing is believing. After the election, they pull all contractors away and the rest of them. So there is some level of risk that the budget that has been presented may not be implemented according to all the assumptions in 2024, especially from August to December.
I see. Prof, that's it. And can someone actually be but to the infant said, then budget not of on if you're watching a corner. You have specific areas now for you did it a home come.
Yes. Why? Yes.
But quick one and son abekono. Obi tesim says as a enti ono the interest ya say papa what taxes so and I know here no.
There's the overall no yen taxes so. About some reliefs which are specific to certain items. And overall, taxes in bar from here. In fact, actually, you will see the real intention of government about taxes and the strategy when the appropriation bill and the several bills underlining the revenue handles are presented to Parliament. That is where we see the details. Yeah. Because overall, the government is hoping to increase tax revenue this year. Of course, it doesn't have to take fresh taxes or maybe hiking the rate. It may come from administrative reforms and greater compliance. But the details of all of that will be seen in the appropriation bill, and then the bills that will come underlining the revenue measures, because some of them will require legislative amendments before GRA can run with them. Yeah. And then again, when we see the full budget, I've gone to the Ministry of Finance website. I haven't seen the full budget. I've seen the budget highlight. The budget highlight doesn't tell us everything. So in the full budget, you get to see the details and all of that. But for now, we cannot say that Ghanaians have a big relief in terms of taxes coming down. We haven't seen that. Of course, government has mentioned some reliefs in terms of there are some relief that they are extending. It means that they are there already. There are also some fresh reliefs when it comes to removing import duties on the importation of electric vehicles. Okay, so that like this may not benefit this person who is asking the question, because the electric vehicles are very expensive. On the average, it may be above the average Ghanaian. So probably this will benefit the top end in society who may be able to import the electric cars because the upfront cost is very high, even though it has a lower maintenance cost. Okay, so that is one. Then again, they are looking at some tax relief when it comes to importation of agricultural machinery and stuff like that. Okay, so immediately the impact of this will have to go through the production channel to reflect in food inflation. Then again, there are other things about sanitary pads, right? Sanitary pads, because that has been in the news for some time now. So there are some tax relief for sanitary pads in terms of both the importation and then importation of raw materials to manufacture local sanitary pads. Then again, when it comes to commercial property rates, government is reducing the rate from 15% to 5%. Government claims that will simplify the process. I'm not too sure about that. It may just be a pressure and lobbying from Ghana's rich commercial property owners who probably feel uncomfortable paying the 15%, and therefore they lobby for it to come down to 5%. That, of course, may not benefit an average Ghanaian who probably owns the street where they live, and that is not a commercial property you rent. Okay.
Yes, Prof. Medase. Prof. Medase pa.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Ami. Professor Godfred Bokpin. Oye ubia oskasem entutu ye hunim de. Na budgeti enano ya hwe no overview. Efri nyame ya adom a ochene kro no. Afei ni ebehwe. Arokacha. Papa na ka asen. Afei ye schools ehonsem aban so obeye den. Ya asabia ho asem aban so obeye da kwan ene ye behwe no mako sa nwuma si ababunu bia so opa adwuma ye aban be den no mamabunu adwuma ye ni nyina nyame ya adoma efiri ochene kɔ no ye be yi no akwa asa na ya hwɛ ne a osoafo hiska sam so kan oforiata ebobo so ene awie yi emu ye de we hu meka se bon so agya boafo nka to e ba sesi a
FM. Happy delightful June. Swachilala, chichi soso. Afrana pa. Passion breakfast and was in woman. Joe happy delightful juice against with toast, cereal, and even them cool. And you may a bread and fifi. What's the fridge man? Happy delightful juice. One of what? And you be here. I can let you relax away. When you're let's say what a tremor. Happy delightful juice. Off and a baby, I bring you all day long on fruit juice. I'm happy delighted. One different flavors, different size. You number 1 liter. Number from NG 150 and 250 ml. A baby healthy life shows on your supermarket. Happy delightful juice. Loaded with taste. Peace FM.
Abuja, enyumre kase boy rebremo no esi. Nana ya okese. Enam de kase boy ebremo. Nyuma kwa wada roma. Me rebremo. Oson's chemist or the Oson's gal capsules and afi Oson's baby gripe water ebeso yasne enyumre. MTN or say we there for you everywhere you go. Na me catch my answer network na mu use no MTN no. E dey assemble bremu. E dey assemble bremu kan no mka agro ne yedi. Enra Porsche yedu ho boy China ma no so ofre ujafo na ujafo aba be fa no. Frɛ anko to of from the coffee baza ha adwene pa momma munyi so MTN oto MTN no ato bi ama no boys no oto MTN ato bi ma age girls no so mo nto ade nche mo boys enye mu ema no mo chema ma ade amu hwe nyemo ana da bia mumu da bia mumu Peter Square 3 fu nyina firi mumu e ka sen High Sense Ghana abusam do High Sense Ghana e na a home appliance papa you feel nam do adru open TV open fridge chest freezer and air conditioner gas cooker and a washing machine pacho ni nyina fo ni kire High Sense Ghana hono abenya de papa ebesen ache amawo aposia sisi Ghana fo nyina nim ne de ho atoso Pepsodent Cavity Fighter aposin papa Pepsodent Cavity Fighter aposin papa na sa aposin papa ye ka ho asem yi eno e wo Ghana dwa so even is a provision shop na wo mfichire ho no ayeton bi ho Pepsodent cavity fighter aposen papa emboost o posi ni na duro no no abanya duro no emboost e ba mixture e da mo one immune booster e a wo gan na dwa so a obi ani che ho se wonom embooster bibia e fine e de mawo Amen Scientific Herbal Hospital no obi bisa me say na amen for no hwe o manam say Ghana ha de oya ne simple say ya bia wo bia fa number we 0245 275 254 0245 275 254 and 0244 227 192 0244 227 192 Allahu Shafi Allah ono woni yarsafo yarwa e ha wunyina be dwane wonam rum Lion Aluminium Products Limited enro ay kukudru ye na me manager o se na hwe hwem bag no na de hwe yim obeka no kre me si me hu Patricia se fa fishe ja me na mo o party de me too icy no now so for the last 3 years hey now no me say that ka jen zabna meba ofie mini ba bia tie ba me ma ofie da abna meba ofie na ma ba dem aba be se ne se unya ba bi da nwanwa enye nwanwa se enwumre bia part obi foforo de be kofie enwumre bia abna na we mene na o mi ko me ba abna na we mene sala ko ka farm ye ba Debia wango high sensor okoka farm e hon dem nim say microwave ni ma na ototo 20 on nche da ha me na meko na bi say cooking utensils and chance opefufuo bowls e no pe de serve money ade enema de watobi pa na mese meko ni fie da ko menkra no so no mako o ho no pa na akoko ho ya me say abramia utimi nka so uni ho ebebu pru nani e ba hwe niam a wodam ho nyina na ya take stock but eye na ya mwanwan se mrantie no so se ya na moni na ehu ade o se de yu e ma ya no to niam se ya ese mu hu seta maso aso se Steven Tim no o seta maso so e ma ya se hu se o ma ya ze zo to niam na sa no a we o mo ti e kire o de Henry for it to form ma mo kosi be 15 December ho no so mo na national service for mo first alawan mra ne hwe ubo se no ma cha se to high purchase and Jensen adem wan so se binim se ya go show mo so mo to Jensen no mo ni kan do and Jensen 3-1 no the attack so 3 no ya no mudi ka to omo to dey say ya na lawa ba bia no ma ha see free dey here say na lawa first one be ba obo hu say ekwan matene say next month alawa no be ba no ma start free ezi am do mani ato alawa ne sole so alawa ne sole to nim say dey every Monday ngoka Friday die na o mi be na kwa assignment ba ko to zo free e dey 100 na 200 video betu ya monthly weekly Montoto but the best friend says ano Henry mo so mo fa money into form guys no toto a na mo hu say ezi a o maso so o mo toto adon zo o maso Patricia say my head has say carpenter ni bi mo wood na ibi no wa shisha ni chance ni wom na eda pass be ware dey me say Jese no me shada koje eyi wo me sa no ho zefi na yi no ne 22 cubic no me ja kese no me ensa na me atwene ne ma nyira ko ni kunu fi ho e wo betima yi mic we ka so ma me no to kwa me no ba kunu fi ha hu timi nyi e ma ya ndi o maso odi an ga se me mo ho biom de me ka na ye nde pa me ma no we Patricia Sefa Fisher asunda da watoto to ne ma Rama Boachi Gladys Rama Boachi wonu say dem hu say otimi di kofi ekura bi mu yes o ma ta ma say kwa de o mu kipu ne man bi o mo namfo Na da obaka show say akrofo be wi omo no na be hu say aboka uzafo edimosi why man no ya monto Lion Aluminium Products ema wa fo ne say eye pa eye mahu obi a wanu ajolofo a ase ahye jolofo no de kaaye no eno no de eyi omutimi di en de hye no do so chen no mahu bi da mahu obi a woka koko a adane banku mahu bi da mahu ne ono so se oye a rice water ewie ye no na akoye mutuo eso mahu bi da so hu ni nyina no ewo ma o kire ase kire wo ho nti so onzano kra jada nyesa ano a uyusu Lion Aluminium Products na because eno nchense na se eduro ni nti no ema no mopontemsa nti mesremo a wo ye na se o se ekoko ana se tombran wa emu ebo pode afa nsuo gum wai o di nsuo no gum anu ya bon se etiwi a na afi de waja ama na ahu poto na bebe na anyesa de a mo ba mu koko adane banku da bia eba sa so ebeble mu maame so denya wo maame na aye wa o mo re hihye na fi na wantana na aye Mickey the triple darling Mickey Ekwapem brother Mickey Ghana mrewa nyina Mickey Ghana mesriwa Mickey Ghana maye nyina Mickey pet Mickey Porsche Mickey Fibi yiwanim na mabodi yaka Mickey asodo ani musiesie aka sa metedem wa me hu de ekoso Mickey Fibi Mickey Mickey na omi obene wa Mickey Ghana mrewa nyina nkoso wo hene Mickey nana ya abotwe Ekwapem brother oni mo betrama no nwotwe abo a kasebo no beba kasebo na chi the platform embassy abeche ka adamase aba monitor.
Tune it in, turn it up,
Peace FM,
and rip off the knobs.
Peace FM.
Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital Bena Black History and War America, China, Africa ne Ghana mpenifo abona baso say. Osaya mo manfoti apopa.
Amin Scientific Hospital. Ayere sabia o won fidie mu aso. Dia woda so a fidie ne kire o yade na no asan so sa o yade.
Amin expert o kwankro yare ho. Won ra no enam. Na wa doctor for ne nurse for so. O wotima.
Amin Scientific at the herbal, homeopathy, naturopathy, and reflexology nyina. Esayade.
Sa wona wo pe. Ana yare ne te same pa. Nyame adumunti. Yare expert. Amen Scientific ebeboa ma inshallah wo ho ato na won so dia dance se de Ghana for ne abrochirefo bi dia dance no
Accra Amen Scientific e wo dome Obersnet Flat and Alashibin so our Klagon e ben Shaman Road under bridge ope
o krabata p free no chiro de ben wo 0245275254 ana 020-722-9505 Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital
Allow Shafi nyame ne yaresafo
Pepsodent die yenim se adie ba kwa yewo na ehun hia papa ne serie nanso ohawa ewo ho ne se wo wiase afa na nyina no woyi mofra mienu bia gina ho a won mu ba ko wo esimu ntokro hawo Pepsodent wa ho den mapa a etumi bo esin ho ban entiama ntokro bia ma esimu Pepsodent serie bia ho hia FDA episode betting crato
Doing gets you learning. Learning starts you wondering. Wondering triggers thinking. Thinking becomes planning. Planning evolves to trying. After trying, you're succeeding, winning, owning. Now, doing that starts with outdoing your limits. Outdo them all with MTN. So, what are we doing today?
Oh, say
employee of the year.
Charlie, what the remote? Me refuse last year, yeah, na me to me target. Charlie.
Now say I'm apomudi mun some cry abafom.
Correct. And now Kasam so Afromax central.
Now what's so ashe?
Afromax Plus some game o. Can you know I'm holding one from no the chum. Say me 90 minutes plus extra time.
Oh say Afromax.
Hello.
Darling. No, ma fie.
Me si mo no me.
Ma fie, papa.
Afromax say changing game no.
Daddy pefe wo adwuma nyina mu.
Oh say Afromax. For Afromax Plus, changing game no. E ye dietary supplement a esiesie mema. Steps Pharmacy and the Afromax Plus. Abejaso. E droyin dem ma mema. Woni mfie du ngoche. First tips was 0550 709 790. Afromax Plus, the game changer. Every aje judging krato yatum.
Ya wuka o hisense nyina ya titi so say televisions, refrigerators, chest freezers, air conditioners, washing machines, smartphones, sound systems, irons, and kitchen appliances be to say gas cookers, microwaves, blenders, rice cookers, kettles, air fryers, and even break home. And ya hisense Black Friday promo. For Modiana Bora Hisense showrooms in Yina, 23rd November, 28th November, and 5 days. And Rena so say, who better the winner be free Hisense or Madam Hisense? Matiti so say, who? Yes, the 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Asa Tatuo. First come, first serve. So one quantum less, Hejawa, and Yanawara. Hisense Black Friday promo way there. Edu Chem, and Shishaka Crow home. Bibiania, for Hisense 0302 550000.
Inside Ban Herbal Center, na nyuma power ye ewo my Ghana won team. Say we be on via see your boni dear name. Yes, at your phone pan aye adwuma so no. Eno nti total drivers, ne taxi drivers so omo de omo ben no. Ewo na e try ya sa Ban Herbal Center edema. Say you no mpem yade, asiti yade, stroke net it or fibroid. Why emre ewo mpem ana wo mfichikomu hawo. Ekoma ekro na tuwa. Fobro Ban Herbal Center. Na umfa we yade enkonsan famada. Enfonsema mo yade timpra. Ni beje yaresa ewo Ban Herbal Center. Enkran ye wala shebi Community 16 Road. Ye be Bows City. Frewo 0244 988004. Atomfo pa nyare wenyi na ebe jone. Ba.
Don't pass out to one. Just momo it. What bread supermarket line was too much. Chano momo. I first have blouse to know I need to hold open. My mama knew soon and I focus on touch him. Now you're fresh. Said you who are both so which now now so. Just momo it. I feel build us so channel. I knew what you my phone now. Just momo it. Yet your dog coffee. Yet your DJ coffee. Yet your mabusia for. Just momo it. I feel the car ebusia do millions. I used to momo Ghana. Now life and you're brighter. Just momo it. We're there for you everywhere you go.
Busubano, Nita, Etosu, Edunum, Ewafim Pinoni, Edunumian Saimon, Asafwa, Yatuniding, the Mountain of Fire and Miracle Ministries, West Africa Region 1 Ghana, Ashishe Jumete Wawaswa Wafi 2023. Metre, Nyamia Jidifo, Nyamia Sofo, Inshia Mudia Wawaswa, Yasana Fimo, and Yadi Prowi, Jumete Ebekosu and the partner song, O Nyaminipa, O Petianim, I was Sanshia Mudia Women, Aye, General Fasia. Mountain of Fire and Miracle Ministries, Dr. DK Olukoya, Jumede El Pasu, Accra International Conference Center, Accra, Ghana. So, person do we say Jumede Remwa, and you call www.mfghanamegaregion.org. Ube to me afrayin, 0550 022982 and 0242 566243. Oh, Jidinio, menu who fi say now we get sure.
Hey. When we send
Senior police in Yadro, Imbusaba Mesa, Amama Huaden.
Refuse to grow, and young offense Wabeka.
And what day immune system or Yankopon, and your ready Pedriamus Samoya Hubano, and Nasa Wunum Imbusaba Mesa, a Peja immune system Nabribia, Yarientimu. Sasa dear, a month for the one, the Imbusaba Mesa, Dronua dance yes, and Yarua who ran Nipa and Nina Etimi Banaso, and in Yarua Cassian Kaya Wutini D and a home car. Now Yamwa suing Yano, a boy who buying every home. And now Mumpa, Omuan Yarwana Dada, no monum doctor and Rono, and num Imbusaba Mesanoa, and Momo who are deep in tea. Ya Omuntim Pose, Yaria Esomo, Imbusaba Mesa, and walk Kaisi, and you are may move Bia Yato in row, at to form friend 0246 20 8496. FDA, Ashisha said, Jadian Cratui, what Jatumu say, ye.
Hey, orange juice, ye, Mamma Tema, and come on, no major. Now, why didn't a good glass in me?
Oh, Ubetimianum, Nemum, a KV, vitamin C and zinc, Yawaiano tablets, orange flavor, and Yeshia and sugar glass moon, a bakwa to Mama Anania, Yayanum. At my wife, what time the chances are, or Benjamin now. It was here.
Ah, darling, media and woman masses.
Hey, Ukruka, madam, what do you mean?
KV orange flavored vitamin C and zinc. Eye kama papa. Great taste.
KV vitamin C and zinc. What a glass of water munomwa. One vitamin C and a zinc one would you be?
And ne, minfi kromumrano. Na me bag you one more my pay.
Sir, don't was idea and an albaco Oson's chemist branch BM.
At to phone for 0302 245 334 and cry Adabraka. Anase Kumasi 03220 224 96.
FD Ashusha sa ejedi nkra to emu agia to mu se eye.
Peace FM.
Take it easy. You are listening to Ekwanso Bre.
Whoa, it's Mickey the Triple Darling. He's so good.
Hey, Madra. What you walk on Consana? You can't say much. No to walk. Says say, when I walk at them, Fantini woman is a mentable of Nebua. So, quite dear Ben, yawa. Mammy, one name cabro for Diaden and Nepe, Ukushia, me a walk cabro for which lamets are. Say, and they will share me a posse, is being a why, is being a why. And now, Qualabi, now wedge rock at them, Nana, was you whom watch, is being a while, is being a while. And can we median him guasi away for him. Media only my men go grow me who was so. Matty tell my quotation be or babu nemodia Jimmy Jasolin, crass for.
The eye never forgets what the heart has seen. You become wise when you begin to run out of money. One who eats alone cannot discuss the taste of the food with others. When the music changes, so does the dance. A tree is known by its fruits. The sun does not forget a village just because it is small. The strength of a buffalo is in the herd. He who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. Do not look where you fell, but where you slipped. The path of a snake is never straight. A bird that flies off the earth and lands on an anthill is still on the ground. The lizard that jumped from the high Iroko tree to the ground said he would praise himself if no one else did.
Nkofo bisa me se adenti na edin se maji nkofo adi asembisa nankasa ne se adenti na edin man nkofo so mbeka no kore munyina munhwem hu ye wa bonten ho efirisa matamfo no nya ahoho enye okrama bia obehu se obre no na obema na aduane adi ibi hia hoden keke ode bekaw se wakonkodin na watumi agina wona so biwa ensan konkofo no mobo to fom ne nchen bi oda so mo do se de o mka so mo do no a ankomo no ndi ne se de o mo ni wadi ni we bitumi ajeje sabodamsem nanso yemu binim wo ho a mo fe yi pa se mo fa bibi nsie ya
enye obi owo asori dem na ye papa na enye obi owo afiase na ye bone ena enye obi owo wanim na ye wadanfo ebinim ni nipa bonefo di ni yi ena omo ni nipa papa di ni bone wahunu nokure no na wahunu nokure no ho adanse na nso woda so age atoro ni di eno ne jimie nkyerase mpempi no o kasa wi a na wonu hu se adenti na manye ko wa ben nyansa kasa nam awusumu na eba na kom ye frinti aseye mu adesua anya se wusua no kwasem no na mum se wotete adwene no amanatumi adwene nyansa wa so tenten ene tekramati awa
enlightening our generation.
They call him a grapping brother, radio. The stage is the best of the best